All right. My name is Wes. I'm from the Autodesk team. Thanks for everybody for coming to our Developer Day. We're pretty excited about the session that we've got here. I want to give a special thanks to Kim, Lois, and Tony for putting in all the effort that it takes to put together a really compelling session. Their use cases are really great. Their presentations are really great. I think you're going to like it. If you've got other shotgun questions after the session, they will answer them. But I believe we also have people that can help answer shotgun questions in a room. Could I just get hands up for people that could answer shotgun questions from Autodesk? Excellent, because it's a strong team and they're great at supporting our customers. So, they're here and they're here to help you. So without further ado, what I'm going to do is hand this over to Kim and we'll get started.
Hi, everyone. All right, I'm going to time myself to make sure that I don't go over. All right. So hi, my name is Kimberly Wigand. I'm an associate producer at Ubisoft San Francisco. And today I'll talk about how we use Shotgun to track assets through game development on our game South Park, The Fractured But Whole. So if you're not familiar with South Park, The Fractured But Whole, I have a really great introduction for you. It's our launch trailer.
There used to be laws, justice. Crime is out of control. Cats are missing. We were supposed to protect those who couldn't protect themselves. We now know for a fact that Scrambles the Missing Cat is part of a larger conspiracy. We also know that the fucking Freedom Pals have more information about this conspiracy than we do. Like a palm hood. Perfect. The only reason the Freedom Pals are ahead of us right now is because they're butt-fucking cheaters who sold out. Cooney wins this symbol. Freedom Pals, unite! Motherfucker! You're such a dick, Coon! Mosquito away! Super Greg is gay. Shut up. Until next time. Dude, the fuck? Oh! Are you shitting me? Fifth page.
Child in a dark room for 2 minutes without you bastards showing up.
South Park, The Fractured But Whole. Available now.
All right, so there's a lot of content in our game. Thank you for the applause. So, at a high level, South Park is a tactical comedy game. So here we have a screenshot of our combat grid. The player can maneuver their buddies and their enemies for a more tactical and strategic gameplay. We have a story-driven RPG, so great story in this game, and we also have RPG elements. This is a screenshot of our ally screen. So before every combat, you can pick and choose which buddies you're going to bring into combat with you. They all have different strengths, abilities, weaknesses, and a number of other RPG elements like crafting and artifacts and equipment and so on and so forth. It is a sequel to South Park, The Stick of Truth. So instead of the kids in town playing a fantasy human versus elves-based game, now they're playing superheroes in South Park. And then it's 2D art and a 3D engine. So we use the Snowdrop engine to build our game. It's a really powerful 3D engine built by Ubisoft. And here is a quick picture of some of our 2D art that's very flat in layers on one side of the screen. And then the other side is a front-on camera for what the viewer or the player would see as they're playing the game. Okay, so let's talk about critical challenges. We knew going into this game development for content creation specifically that we really wanted to make sure that we hit on these particular challenges that we knew would be difficult in going through our game development. So, global game development. First off, Ubisoft is a big company. We have studios all over the world, and we didn't know exactly how many studios would join us on this game development adventure, but we knew we would start with our Ubisoft Osaka studio and the South Park studios in LA. So, already we had a couple of studios around the world, and we wanted to make sure that whatever we did for content creation, we had systems and programs in place that would help us facilitate content creation with teams around the world. Fast iteration. So this one in particular is for South Park Studios because they have 20 years of experience making a great TV show, and they're very, very fast at their iteration. So it takes them 6 days from start to finish to make an episode for the show. And obviously game development doesn't move that quickly, so what sort of systems and programs can we have for our content creation that will help us make this game faster and get feedback and approvals and reviews with them more faster and efficiently. Another challenge is clear, comprehensive information. I know that I'm a project manager up here talking about communication and information, and it's very standard. So aside from that, content creation specifically, how are we going to format this information for our artists and our animators, whether they're in-house or external, whether they're new or veteran, to make sure that everything is clear and comprehensive and we don't lose time in answering questions or defining things when everything should have been defined already. So those are our challenges that we wanted to try to answer with whatever content creation systems we brought in for our pipeline. So we chose Shotgun. And this is how we integrated with Shotgun. We chose Shotgun for a number of different reasons. And these are some of the key features that we wanted to use. So the media section, this is something built into Shotgun, and it's every single image, video, play blast, gameplay video, whatever you want. You upload it to Shotgun and it will live here in the media section. It's just a big giant repository for all of your content. So this is a screenshot of one of our playlists. You can make a playlist, as you may imagine. A playlist is just an umbrella of sorts with a criteria, and you put versions and videos and stuff in that playlist, and then you can send out that link, and anyone can access that on your team. So this is an example of something that our animation team would put together for our happy hours. Every week, our whole team would get together, and we'd show our animations, and the animators would feel good about showing their progress, and our artists would feel good at showing their progress throughout the week, and then the other departments would also see that and say, oh, that's really cool, or that's really funny, I can't wait to put that in the game. We're also starting to use playlists now in sort of a different way. So this is what we call a character animation library. And this is something where if someone in another department wants to put a character into the scene, or we know we have to have this character for this moment, but we don't really know what assets they have available to them, well, here is a playlist. In this case, this is Randy Marsh. He's a very famous character on the South Park show. So if you want to put Randy in the scene, here are all of his approved animations already. These are things that we know we can put in the game. You can pull from this list and put it in and see how it looks, or if something is missing, we can make a new animation, and that just facilitates the discussion. Also in the media section, we have the client review site. So this is something that really stood out to us with Shotgun. And in particular, this is a playlist that you send out in the client review section. It generates a link, and then you can send it to your clients or your external stakeholders. So this is a screenshot of that. What that would look like for them, they have sort of the right side of the screen has a number of notes where they can leave their notes and specific feedbacks. There's also markup tools. There's a pen tool and an arrow tool that you can actually mark up the image or the video right in there. And then of course there's approvals. So everything in the media section really did try to facilitate the global game development and accelerate the reviews and feedback and approval process with internal directors and external stakeholders. Dashboards. So these are unique pages that you can make in Shotgun, and this really is just tailoring the information for the different types of users. This is an example of something that I will use pretty much every day, and I created it and I put it in by department. So at the top there's tech art because I want to know where our rigs are, and so it has all the tech art names with all of their tasks assigned to them on one side of the screen, and I can see clearly where those tasks are in the pipeline. And then on the other side of the screen, it's that same department, but as a whole, where is everything for their task load looking? So it goes just by department: tech art, animation, art. I think it's art at the bottom there. Yes. So just a really high level way for me to see, is anything blocked? Is anyone overtasked? Where can I start readjusting? Similar to that, we also created a dashboard called the Studio Workshop, or workloads. And this is where, as soon as we had more and more teams joining us, we had more producers and more project managers who wanted to help facilitate their teams and make sure that we don't hit any roadblocks, or we're being able to redistribute our tasks efficiently. So this is a page, it's not the prettiest page, but I made it, and it's really just by department again, but everyone's names at the top of the list with their total tasks assigned to them, regardless of where they are in the pipeline. And then each individual section of names you can expand to see what exactly the tasks are that are assigned to them, and then you can actually rearrange them in the dashboard. All right, we also have the failed QA review. So this is something that we wanted to get our QA team involved in, so it's not just JIRAs and bugs that we're getting, and it's sort of maybe vague, and we don't really know what exactly happened if we don't have like a recording or a screenshot of the issue that occurred. But we can at least have our QA team come in and say, I know it was this animation, I'm going to flip the status to failed QA review, and then that animator or that artist can go in and say, Okay, let me look at my base file. Is that good? Let me look at my export. Is that good? Let's go talk to design and engineering. And then we can start to troubleshoot where this thing maybe fell off in the pipeline. So all these dashboards really tailoring information for different types of users, helping people across the globe develop this game. Next is formatting entities. So the word entity is something that you really want to get a clear grasp of before you start customizing Shotgun for your project. An entity is essentially anything in Shotgun. So when I say a task, that's something you assign to someone, it's an actionable thing that they do. That is technically an entity. And then there are assets, which are entities, and sequences and shots. And so there's all these terms that are sort of used out of the box in Shotgun. But essentially they're all entities. And when you kind of realize that, you figure out, oh, they all kind of abide by the same rules. And in this way, you can actually format entities. You can make your own unique entities. So in this case, this is an animation entity that I made for our animators. So there's a little orange icon in the top, and so whenever someone sees an orange icon entity, they mean, oh, okay, animation entity, got it. That's the color scheme we're sticking with. At the top of the page, we have some key links of things. So if there's a background that this animation needs to be in, if there's a character rig, if there's a prop that this character is using, all of that is linked at the top so they can clearly go, they can click on that and go to where that asset lives in Shotgun, and then they can see the progress of that. And then at the bottom, we have tasks. So an animator will come in and say, okay, these are all my tasks for this one character, for this one entity. And it gives some basic information like description and is it ready to start? What's the status of this task? But also, there are some unique columns in here. And this is where customizing entities really comes into play. So we can actually customize and put these very unique columns in for these tasks. So I added character-specific notes. Is this character in the show? And if so, what episode are they in? So that the animator can go and watch that show and understand, okay, here's a mannerism that I should put into this animation. There's also some technical stuff like a Maya file name and animation states, which are all very important. We want to give all that information to the animators. And then on the far side of the screen, there are 4 columns in orange called back, front, left, right. So that's because we are animating and doing art in 2D. So the facing direction of these things is very important. So we don't want people to double or quadruple their work because we think we have to make it in all 4 directions. So clearly we're saying for each of these, it's front facing only. That's all you have to worry about. So this was just one of the ways, one of the entities that we customized for our project. And it was just a nice way to format the information, get it so that all of our teams across the globe are using the same format and making this very clear, comprehensive information. Last but not least, we started to rope in some of our designers and see if they could start using Shotgun. So this is, again, another unique entity called a puzzle entity for us. And this is the versions tab, so this is everything that was uploaded for that puzzle specifically. Now, the reason we chose puzzles to put into Shotgun is because the designers were using very visual design documents, essentially. So it kind of boiled down to just 2 different things. There was a mechanics board, which showed, in general, these are the mechanics that we want in this puzzle. The art is all representative. The art, it might not actually be the real art that goes shipped with the game, but this is exactly what we want the puzzle to essentially be. Versus the art board, which then an artist would come in and say, okay, we need these props, we need these mechanics supported. Here's the blocker that you're going to have in that walkway. It's like a bike rack with a bunch of bikes toppled over. Okay, and then that's how we were able to sort of build these puzzles within our very art-centric design process. So we started putting these in Shotgun for reviews and approvals and adding notes and revision notes, and so it's working pretty well. Okay, so what's next? We're going to continue to streamline our processes. We're going to get more departments involved in Shotgun. We're still using Shotgun to this day to work on DLC. Can I do a shameless plug? Our DLC just launched today. It's South Park: The Fractured Butthole from dusk till Casa Bonita. So thank you. Okay, and we're going to continue to use reports and dashboards as provided by Shotgun support. Thank you very much. Next up is Lois.
Hello, everyone. Okay, I'm going to start my slide. I'm Lois Wong, art outsourcing producer at Crystal Dynamics. This is me. So just so even no one knows what outsourcing producers do in a development studio, I work in between my internal art team, so across different disciplines, and with my service provider. So I'm the middle woman, I guess. So I'm talking a little bit about my experience with Shotgun. In the past 5 years, I've been focusing on managing art asset pipeline, creating internal and external art creation production workflow. I've worked in 4 different game studios, from outsourcing to mobile to console, that I work with development team and partners across different regions from North America, South America, Asia, and Europe. I've managing about 3 different art disciplines, including art, 2D concept, illustration, 3D creation, and also some animation. As you can see my title, so I work with both internal team and external developers in the process. And there's one tool that I actually carry with me every studio or every project that I work with, and that is Shotgun. So I want to talk a little bit about our challenges. So I have a little bit experience from different studios. I want to consolidate my learnings from project management. So this is the way that I would like to explain as a producer in the game development. This is sort of the visual that we're dealing with on a daily basis. How many of you guys are project managers or producers down there? Okay, great. Then you guys will see all the keywords and kind of knowing how I'm trying to consolidate all this chaos and all this different process that we're managing on a daily basis. So with the responsibility as a producer, you're handling with different stakeholders. You're also responsible for providing reports, making plans, making sure that you are the one facilitating the process for your team and for them to reach the goal. The work that we do could be related to estimation of a task, scheduling your artists, making sure that all the dependency across the discipline is matching with what we plan for. You also do scope and bandwidth, making sure that we have the right headcount doing the right work at the right time. We're also tracking with assets for different category, different naming convention, sorting out where your reference is coming from somebody's drive, or where is your concept art, which one is the approved version. So all sort of thing. And in all the development process, there's a lot of tool that is already existing that is helping us to consolidate information. We handwrite down our meeting notes, and we go face-to-face discussion with different directors or different leads. And we write down the document, share Excel sheet from our Perforce drive or somewhere on the network drive. We track our tasks or bugs from Jira. We have guidelines from Confluence. These are all very common tools that is accessible for most of the developer. However, if there's one thing that can consolidate as much as possible, and I can share for me, because I work with both internal team and external team. So there's always an IT security issue. There's a permission, how much information different team can access. So this one tool using Shotgun, it actually helped me to reach 5 different goals in a project management or as a producer's role. So I'm going to talk a little bit about it. So with Shotgun, I'm able to observe the trend of my production, making future plan, and I can also managing my budget and my time with my team. I also have a better transparency of tracking the progress, sharing the status between internal team or external team. I also can use Shotgun to actually provide more risk management. So I'll cover it a little bit later. And last but not least, there's a better way to communicate between internal team, external team, especially my focus area is actually asset creation. So in a tool that is able to visually communicate and also tracking all the history of what is being commented, what is the idea being adding onto asset creation process is really, really important. So for the next few slides that I'm going to walk you through, these are how I use Shotgun across different studio in the past. That there's 3 aspects that I'm always focused on. The first is planning and forecasting, tracking and progress, and also review and quality control. You probably already see quite some example from Kimberly that how we use the version and submitting art assets. So I'm just going to go through this real quick. So this is the version. You're able to submit any static view or videos for your artists and art lead or even vendors to communicate what is being submitted, what is the problem with this asset. You can redline, you can put notes, you can also put in arrows or even attach new references to help the artist to move forward with the right direction. We're also doing a lot of customized view. For outsourcing, the incoming asset in a daily basis is numerous. And then there will be a lot of different content that you need to know what I need to take action on and who is working on what and what are the stages of the asset. So we can use any of the custom graph to pull data to show in more graphic way to help your art lead or reviewer to know where our progress, how are we doing. And if you can see on orange status, that's like, waiting for reply or pending. So if there's any questions or asset review that you need your art lead to provide feedback, that's where the first thing that your art lead is supposed to click and then review on a daily basis. So we also use media room. From time to time, internal team also do team review, so we can see all the progress. For producer or art lead, you can definitely collect something that is the most up-to-date or today's focus. Maybe we're only talking about character instead of environment, so you can actually select the right playlist to show and share with your internal team. One of this feature, I think Kimberly also covered it, is the client view. So one of the teams that I work with in pre-production stage that we only put our team onto Shotgun. So there's no other discipline is able to access to the working in progress asset. So the reason for that is we wanted to make sure we have a focus of communication, but also reduce some of the noise during the production or the ideation stage. So we put a lot of the additional we put a lot of designers and also directors onto the client list. So they're able to access to a selective or the art team feel more comfortable and happy to share progress work. This is all free as a feature is coming out of the box. So it helps us to managing the communication and also help the art team to focus on their work. Okay. I'm going to move on. This is actually my favorite part. Shotgun has been helping me to do a lot of planning with into a studio level with balanced internal and external resource. So my starting point as a step 1, after pre-production, usually the art team should be able to answer your question of how do we make an asset? How do we go step by step? What are the dependencies? What are the tasks that cannot happen before the previous step is complete? So we'll basically create a task template based on the different type of asset we're going to create, call it out all the dependency, and also providing a rough estimation from how long it takes for each of the steps to pass on to another. And then there's also a measurement that we can take. We usually use the column as bid to call out what's the actual workload that we're estimating for per artist to work on. Using those data, the moment we know how much asset we're going to make, these are the graphs that I usually created. It's my negotiation time with my studio head. It's like, okay, so this is XYZ amount of asset that we wanted to create. And this is my projection of how many concept artists we need in during a certain period of time, how many character internal team has to intake and do the polish work, and then how much of the vendor that I most likely need to hire in order for us to land the content. So there's this balance that we make changes whether we're hiring from external or we're hiring internally. But all in all, everyone we're hand in hand collaborate to finish the product and work together. So this is a really good high-level overview for the studio to actually make some decision. If we're looking at hiring for the next 6 months or next year, what type of talent that we're supposed to go for first, and what type of talent that is going to be a bottleneck in the later production period. So this is something that I use very often to just share with the team or the management to discuss about how much effort we're going to put internal, how much effort we're going to put external. And this is another, this is a task view. So I use one of this entity called face, and as you can see on the right-hand side, there's two vertical blue line. So using face, I'm able to visualize a starting and end point of a milestone. So by putting any rough estimation or the workflow on your asset, we can also see how many assets reasonably we can land during a milestone and how many probably will fall out of the timeline. So that's another opportunity for producer to have a discussion with your team. Okay, if we're unable to cut asset, which it's my favorite discussion, but if it's not going to happen, then how are we going to maneuver our way and then changing our resource in order to still land our goal? So this is something that is really helpful, especially when you're discussing with your art director that they really don't like to look at Excel sheet. And this is helping them to understand really quickly in 30 minutes of a meeting, you can actually have a really productive discussion about how do we solve the problem that is right now in front of us. This is an asset view. Shotgun has all sorts of different kind of fields that you can create for you to categorize your asset, for you to tracking any namings or rig files or different information that is contained to the asset. In this case, I'm tracking like which vendor I'm assigning for what specific asset and how are they doing. What are the status of each phases that we're going to review and approve. This is going back to the task view. So the moment you create a task template, it's actually really powerful that whenever you are actually doing detail editing, changing your start day and end day of the task, Shotgun will actually do automation check for you. If you see the lower part, there's like some of the steps is in red because your previous step, the dependency, and then your later step is actually conflict. So they will remind you, are you sure you want to make your plan like this? And usually you're like, okay, let's push it for the reasonable amount of time. So it helps you to actually do a lot of pre-plan and also forecasting what is going to happen or what are the things that you most likely will run into in the next month. For me, that I work with a lot of vendors, sometimes you have to track in all different conditions. You will rely on the project managers on the other side to input a lot of the data. And for you, overseeing what is still landing, what is not, and then guiding your external partners, it's very important to be able to catch it ahead of time. This is another graph that is really just showing the progress and helping the team to understand where we're at, how much work is remaining. If you see on the lower part, the blue graph is actually a rough estimate of how much work we initially know per discipline, how much work is going to be. And then the orange side is actually showing anything that is not approved, not done, not start, how much work that we're remaining roughly. So if you look at the mandate versus how much resource you have and how many days you still have until your milestone, you should be able to see, are we in the safe zone? Are we still on time? Are we still on track? Or something is happening. We might need to look into additional resource or we might need to pivot our plan. So using those tools can easily track your progress of the production. And for me, working with a lot of external people with contract relationship, it is very important to catch ahead of time and have a discussion as soon as possible. On the top is actually just a status of count, how many things are being done or how many man days of work is being complete. So this is another thing. Shotgun's field, every column, you can also change the setting into a different permission. You can set up as many user groups as possible, and you can also lock them and preventing them from seeing some confidential information. For me, managing outsourcing asset, it's very important to also track the cost and also the contract and also the purchase order in detail. So by lining up all the purchase order, work order, and also cost, I can track how many dollar amount that I'm paying for each of the vendor and in what PO and in what contract. I can even sort how many how much money we're paying for a certain vendor for a specific type of asset. So there's all different ways to sort dynamically for the information you want to seek. So I can provide report easily for internal management and letting them know how are we doing cost-wise or time-wise or progress-wise. So these are all really, really useful tools. As an outsourcing producer that I'm dealing with all the information on a daily basis, and it consolidated into one tool instead of probably 10 different Excel sheets. So just do a quick recap. So Shotgun for me as a tool, it helps me to meet 5 goals. I can able to see the trend of my production and also able to do the planning. I can have a better budget and time management. I also have the transparency of my tracking progress that I can share with internal and external member. I'm also able to have a better and much more ahead of risk management to help my team to land their goal as graceful as possible. And last but not least, we have a really good, not just verbally, but also visual communication with history and help the team to know where we are and where we were. So that's it. Thank you. All right, I'm going to have Tony come up.
Nice job. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I want to thank the folks at Autodesk for inviting me to come speak today. Thank you guys very much. My name is Tony Stanley. I am one of the art directors at EA Sports. I'm also an animation director. I've been working there for 14 years now. And I bounce back and forth between art direction and animation direction depending on the needs of the project I'm working on at the time. So just a quick introduction. This is my family. We live in Orlando, Florida. And this is the studio I work out of. It's a Tiburon office just north of Orlando. And a brief recap of my work history. The first game I worked on, I was an animator on Street 2. And I also directed the opening cinematic for this. The next project I worked on was Superman. Yes, it was painful. And no, I don't want to talk about it. And my first title as an art director was NASCAR kart racing. And then I was cinematics director on MMA. And then I was art directed The Blitz, the reboot of the old game, and this was a great opportunity. I got to work with Mark Turmel, the original creator of Blitz, and it was a lot of fun. And for the last 6.5 years, I've been working on Madden. And this last year, I was the animation director for Longshot. And for those of you that are not familiar with Longshot, this is the trailer that we released last year.
Devin, I covered your career at the University of Texas. Where'd you disappear to?
Today is the day that we put Mathis on the NFL map. A long shot from the depths of the unknown to being drafted by an NFL team.
All the eyes on you. What's to stop you from hightailing again?
Let me ask you something. Why are you here? Because football's my life.
My father used to say, when the world knocks you down, get back up again.
Wade is miles behind.
Long shot. You gonna get hit today?
You're not the only one trying to get drafted. No, man, forget you!
Devin Wade at the line for the final play of the game. It's the biggest moment of your life.
Let's go out there and prove to the world that we belong.
Today I wanted to share with you how we use Shotgun throughout this production, and also let you know Shotgun is used widely throughout EA Sports. So we use it to track all of our asset managements for Madden. It's also used on FIFA, our MediaWorks team, Capture Lab, throughout the studio. On Madden 17, as an art director, I also supervised all the motion graphics that went into the game. So these two pieces, I worked with a gentleman by the name of Ian McCarthy. Ian is motion graphics artist for Thursday Night Football. So literally, as he's traveling around the country working for Thursday Night Football, I used Shotgun to communicate with him weekly, no matter where he was in the country, to give him feedback as we develop these pieces. Where I use Shotgun the most is for the animation department. So I started using Shotgun on Madden 16. Now remember that our animations are viewed from all different angles. So it's not just like a movie, it's just one camera angle. So we have to be able to give feedback and see how it works from many different scenarios. So the animators will load up 2 different play blasts for me to review as we go through. So this is a very basic explanation of our animation pipeline. We get our data from our capture lab located in Vancouver. We use stuntmen to capture the data, and our animators clean up the data within Motion Builder. We then take it to our custom 3D animation engine, and then we pump that into the game engine. So on the left is an example of the raw motion data that we'll get back from the capture lab. On the right is the animation cleaned up. So there's several things to keep in mind as we're capturing the data. We're not allowed to actually throw footballs on the motion capture set. If a ball goes the wrong way and takes out one of our cameras, we're down for a day, and they're very expensive. And also keep in mind, we're not allowed to actually use NFL players for our mocap. Legal reasons, we're not allowed to get them in there. So we hire stuntmen who have football experience. And these guys are really good. They work very hard for us all day, but they never reach the level of athleticism that an NFL player will hit on Sunday afternoon. So our animators have to go back and enhance this to make it feel much more powerful. So here's some examples of some of our animations. These are our bread and butter and gameplay animations. On the field celebrations. First down reactions. And we have hundreds and hundreds of these in the game, many years. Our signature touchdown celebrations. And these are always fun to work on, right? And they get crazier every year as we go. There we go. And these we call non-interactive sequences, or NISs for short. And these are created to make the games feel more like an NFL experience that you see on Sunday. And this was a training grounds for our very first story mode, long shot. So we released this last year, and it was really well received. And I think I need new batteries for this thing. Let me try it here. Here we go. The logistics of keeping up all this data was daunting. The Shotgun made it possible for us to keep up all the track and keep production moving smoothly. And we even did this with an international team. We had animators in Florida, Canada, and China. And we had less than a year to pull this off. And we had to communicate very effectively. So most of us were separated by 13,000 miles, a 12-hour time difference, and most of my team didn't speak the same language. So we turned to an ancient Chinese proverb, a picture's worth 10,000 words. So before I came to EA, I spent 10 years as a Disney animator of our Florida studio. I worked on such films as The Lion King, Hunchback of Notre Dame, Lilo and Stitch, Mulan, and Brother Bear. And one of the most important things I've learned at the Disney studio was the power of visual feedback. And this is something I bring to my animation team. So when I first got to EA, I was astonished at just the feedback that the animators were getting. A lot of times it was at the desk or through emails, but most of the time it was very vague. And I wanted to make a change to that. So as I got into a leadership position, I was always looking for a vehicle to be able to make this a better experience and get direct feedback to the animators visually and at a frame level. So I recommend this book to all my teammates and my leads especially. It's called Drawn to Life, and it's written by a man by the name of Walt Stanfield. Walt was at Disney back in the early days, and when he retired, he took it upon himself to teach the newer animators coming up. So he had these life drawing classes that he always made these little printout notes, and these became gold for the animation team. And we collected them over years and years. We'd hand them to each other. Well, Don Hahn finally put all these notes together into a book. It's fantastic. I highly recommend it. But the great thing about this, it doesn't just teach you to draw well. It teaches you to see and any given pose and be able to quickly relay that information to anybody else. So this becomes the foundation for the way we communicate. All my leads, we actually draw on the frames. So as I was saying, the limitations a lot of the mocap actors had. In this situation, Devin was elbowing Colt in the face. The actors couldn't actually pull that off because they have the head-mounted cameras, and they're about $30,000. We're not messing those up. Also, we don't want the actors to get hurt, so they fake it as they need to. We can't even get them in close for a hug because it knocks the markers off as they go through. So these are things that the animators have to go back and enhance. And we also, the NFL is very particular about hits to the head, so we had to be very careful with that animation. So here's another example. You know, I said we couldn't throw footballs. This particular scene, Devin was throwing a rock at the truck, and we weren't allowed to actually throw that on the set. So the actor does the best he can to throw it, and I was able to use shotgun to go over and draw over exactly how I wanted the hand to rotate, where the rock came out, the projection, and even the action of the truck. And these are all things the animators have to do. So I was able to communicate this very effectively, very quickly, and most of the time, the next time around, I've got exactly what I want. So here's another example. I just got back from Shanghai, and we have an outsourced company in Nanjing that we work with, OF3D, wonderful company, they're fantastic. This is an example of a local department store. Try to find an American football on that shelf. It's not there. And none of these guys grew up playing football. They don't know how to catch it, they don't know how to throw it. And so when they get a scene that the mocap actor didn't actually throw it and there's no weight to his hands going through, they struggle with these things. So I'm able to use RV to go in and draw at the frame level how I want the rotation of the hand to get the spiral, the rotation of the wrist coming through, even the projection of the football going. And I'm able to get that at different angles, and it's very clear direction, and they got it right after that. So this is just a screenshot of my desk, my setup I have in Florida. On the far right, I have a Cintiq. I love drawing this. The screen gets nice and big because I'm getting old, I can't see as well. And I keep shotgun up beside it on my middle monitor and usually emails and stuff on the left. On the very far end, I use my Surface tablet if I'm traveling. And quite honestly, I wouldn't be able to speak with you today if I wasn't able to get my work done. I've been in the hotel doing shotgun notes. So this has been very effective for me. So this is a quick capture of how we've been using it on production. I'm able to take the play blast from the animators, any previous versions that we have, the HMC data, the head-mounted camera data, and anything else I need for the animators to do their job. And I throw these videos up side by side, scale it, move it around any way that I want to be able to present that feedback, and actually go on and draw on each frame that I need to make changes to. Sometimes we struggle with eye direction, you know, feedback for that. You can type many different tools to be able to get the feedback. I do love the scrubbing feature where you can have the audio as an animator to be able to scrub through and hear where the audio is hitting specifically certain words and letters, so you get the lip sync exactly where you need it to be. And it remembers all the points where you made these notes, annotations on the bottom. And once you get done, I can collect all these notes and throw them up in shotgun, and all the animators have to get automatic email notifications. So in their inbox, they'll get emails of my notes so that I know exactly what to do to follow up with. So technically, we end up with a 24-hour studio, especially with our friends overseas. I get the notes, the next day they're coming in, and we just keep this rolling. And it's worked out really, really well for us. Other than that, guys, that's all I have. I'd like to invite ladies up, and we're open for any questions that you might have. Thank you. Well, thank you. Thank you. I encourage anybody, step up to the mic if you have any questions, but shoot away. It's got to be somebody.
I have no questions.
All right, we got off easy, huh? We're available to talk to if you like, but other than that, if Wes anything else, then we're good. Thank you so much, folks. Have a good day. Nice job, guys. Nice job.